Hey guys and gals. Gotta get on my glare, my counter to the glare. You get so much glare from this window, it's not even funny. I have old blankets and stuff like that over these other windows, but I never put anything on this one. There's no thing above it to hang a curtain anyway, but maybe one day I'll get something over this window. But the thing is that we got so much snow out there, that makes it even worse. The light bounces off the snow and then everything comes in here, so definitely got to have my shades on. It makes it a little bit harder to read stuff because then I got to look underneath the shades, but it is what it is. You got to just take the good with the bad some situation, you know. I'm going to switch these the coffee here. Well, I'm wearing my double. When it gets really bitter cold, this sweater combo, this jumper combo comes out. It's an absolute crazy warm combo. And it's because of the types of sweaters or jumpers they are. Okay, now both Germany and Scotland, they call them sweaters, so I'll just call this a sweater. Well, you know, both of these have the type of stitch that they used to use on the old fishermen's sweaters back in the day. It's a very tight knit, you know, row type. And this one is German made, and the other one underneath is Scottish made, Barber brand. 3, 4, shut the door. So, as you can see, this one has vertical cabling, kind of like it says vertical cabling on the arms, horizontal that way. But this one is made all the same way. All the same way. Arm to arm. Wrist to wrist, you know. And this barber is up and down in the torso, and then it is also up and down in the arms. So different companies or different countries, different ways that they've made it. I know that you're looking at this Patriots hat. I'm not a big follower of sports, but I do believe in supporting your home team if it comes to the Super Bowl or something like that. You know, I don't really watch football, but you know, I live in New England. Therefore, when New England is playing in the Super Bowl, I support New England, and that's the way it should be. You know, you should, if you live somewhere in particular, you shouldn't be supporting a team from another state or whatever. If they're going against a state that you live in, or the area that you live in. New England is comprised of 6 states. Okay, they're very early colony states and colonial states, and it's almost its own country. You know, got a lot of things that are particular to New England, and most people that live in New England are very staunchly New Englanders, right? I mean, you got different people in New England right now, mostly the younger generation, that like to make fun of Connecticut and Rhode Island. They say, well, they're not really New Englanders, those people down in Connecticut are part of New York, blah, blah, blah. It's not really like that, guys. I'm telling you. There's only one little piece of Connecticut, which is in the southwest corner, Greenwich. Greenwich, Connecticut. It's that little tail down there. There's a lot of people that are actually, they work in New York, and they started out having their houses in Connecticut down there in Greenwich in order to like avoid taxes, because nobody likes taxes, okay? But the fact is that most people in Connecticut don't like New Yorkers, and the rest of New England, they really don't like New Yorkers. They just don't like it. It's like a tradition, okay? It's not even personal. It's like a tradition. Ah, New Yorkers, man, they need to stay on their own side of the fence. I mean, it's like that, right? So it's not like a personal grudge or nothing. It's just like traditionally, if you're a New Englander, generally they don't care for New Yorkers. And most of that not caring for New Yorker stuff comes from people from New York City. It's and the same thing goes with Massachusetts. And masshole is a real term that people use. They don't just use it in Connecticut or Rhode Island. They use it in New Hampshire. They use it in Maine. They use it in all other 5 other New England states generally about Massachusetts drivers. Okay, massholes. But I don't generally. I try not to generally do stuff like that, because you got good and bad in every state. Just so happens that Massachusetts is run by a bunch of commies in Boston. Bunch of commie massholes in Boston. Alright? But, yeah. So, I have lived in 2 states in New England. And I guarantee you, people in northern New England, which is Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine, they often see southern New England, which is Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. They see them as like not quite New Englanders or something like that, and then they want to talk a bunch of trash about certain parts of southern New England. They're just a bunch of New Yorkers and blah blah blah. They like to talk all that trash, but the reality is that there are more New Yorkers with second homes. That's right, second homes in Maine, in Vermont, than any other where in New England. That's right, I guarantee you. They don't call Maine vacation land for nothing. Yep. So get off your high horses. Anybody that thinks all that stuff, just get off your high horses. New Yorkers are everywhere in New England. They're in and amongst you. It's still the United States. I mean, there's a lot of snobbery in New England. It is the way it is. But even I have some of that in me. I can't help it, because you get used. You're used to a certain way of life, and then you look down on other people because they're not the same. That's the thing. If you live in New England, you don't need to bring other people's ways with you. You need to understand the customs and the traditions of the New England way of life. I cannot stand someone who calls themselves a New Englander, and yet every winter they run to Florida and they hide out in Florida until the snow's gone. You're not a New Englander in my book. you're a New Englander, if you are here in New England and you live your life in New England 12 months out of the year, and you know how to deal with winter. And, I learned all that stuff when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we grew up here. And my parents my parents did stuff that people call prepping now. There was a while there where people call it survivalist. Oh, you're a survivalist. And then they were calling it preppers. Where you have 6 months or a year's food on hand all the time for every single person. That's just life growing up. And you learned all about taking care of yourself in the cold weather and how to get yourself unstuck, with your vehicle. Even if you had four-wheel drive, you got high centered. If your tires are not getting traction to the ground and you're high centered in a snowbank, then you got to get a shovel out and you got to dig out that snow so that your tires can touch the ground properly again, and then you can get out and then learn how to throw wood under the tires and get your floor mats out of your vehicle and throw those under the tires and stuff like that and get traction and vroom, take out of there. Man, so much stuff. And then people like me, we get irritated with people that don't know how to deal with things, and then they don't want to learn. We get irritated with people like that. Go back where you came from. I mean, that's why sometimes you think that people from New England are just a bunch of jerks. It's just because we don't want to be hand-holding everybody that comes up here and can't deal with the snow and stuff. And anyway, I've been yakking on that for too long. But yeah, Patriots tomorrow against the Seattle Sea Chickens. That's right, Seattle Sea Chickens. So it's going to be New England Patriots versus the Seattle Sea Chickens tomorrow. So yeah, there's I'm Team New England. That's right. I don't play football. I don't even watch football. But when football is going for the big cup, the big trophy, New England is one of the two teams. That's right. Patriot. That's right. See that tricorn hat? I like that old school logo. I don't like that new logo. That new logo is Donald Trump. You know that, right? You look at Trump from the side, and then you look at the New England logo, and because Bill Belichick and Kraft and them Brady, they were all good friends with Trump. That logo didn't get like that for a reason. There's something behind it, right? So I'm not a huge Trump supporter. I'm not a huge anybody supporter because nobody supports me. Nobody helps me. I help myself. So you look at the people that they got to go in the White House this last go around. It's always the lesser of two evils, man. It is. It's not anybody that you could genuinely get behind and say, yeah, man, that's a good person. Trump was the lesser of two evils. The other one, word salad, would have been a total catastrophe. Okay? I mean, it is what it is. We have to deal with whatever we get. But at some point, I think we're just going to have to, say no more. We're going to have to say no more. The money is going to go to zero. The fiat currency is going to go to zero. All of this paper money, it's going to go to zero. You guys better have some gold or silver stocked up, real, tangible, in your hands. Silver, gold. Gold is almost, unobtainium for the average person anymore, because it's over 5,000. It's always 4,800, 5,000, 5,400. It went to a week or so ago. You know, an ounce. Got to have some of that back. Set back. Why? Silver. Silver has gone wild lately. Up to 116, 117 an ounce, and then back down to like 70 an ounce, and then back up. So it's going to crawl back up again. You say, well, what do you need that gold and silver for? It's not going to feed you. In the long run, it will be worthwhile for you. Okay, so if it doesn't benefit you as a Christian, let's say you get raptured, right? You're gone. That's left behind. That's going to benefit somebody. Hopefully it will benefit a family member or a close friend or somebody like that who just wouldn't listen about God. Okay? Hopefully it will benefit somebody. Alright? Help them to get through the tough times. Because when the paper money, the funny money, the monopoly money, when it goes to zero, it will be worth nothing. You won't be able to buy anything with it. Gold and silver never go to zero. Never. That's the thing. Gold and silver never go to zero. If you have gold rounds or silver rounds or gold bars or silver bars, like say 1 ounce bars or something like that, or smaller. Some people, they'll store larger bars, like 5, 10 ounce, something like that. 5, 10 ounces also good. If you got a limited amount of space, you want to, because you're not looking to like cash it in anytime soon. You're looking to hold it, and hold it, and hold it, and hold it. And when you just keep holding it, there's less on the market. Buying and holding, buying and holding, buying and holding, because you create a situation where there's even less and less on the market. It becomes more and more valuable. Okay, and then when paper money goes to zero, the value of your silver will skyrocket. It will skyrocket. It will be worth so much. And then gold will be made of unobtainium. You won't even be able to touch it. Even if probably you'd have to be a billionaire to touch gold at that point. When the funny money goes to zero, the gold and silver are through the roof. Okay, they will skyrocket in value because you can print as much funny money as you want. That's what they've been doing all along. Oh, let's just print some more funny money. Let's print some more funny money. We can't afford to shut down the government. Let's print some more funny money. Now they're at like 40 trillion or something, right? Which is, it's so unbelievable. How many times you could stack $100 bills to go back and forth to the moon in that $40 trillion. That's the kind of money that you're talking when you talk about $40 trillion. How many trips to the moon can you take, stacking those $100 bills all the way to the moon and back, Silver is finite, more or less. There's only so much of it. Banks have been buying silver. J.P. Morgan just bought a bunch of silver, okay? And they're holding it. Why? Because that's valuable. Valuable. Silver is valuable. Gold is valuable. There's a finite amount of gold and silver. And silver is not easily produced. You have to produce silver from mining other things. You get silver. You have to refine that from whatever you were mining over here. And then you get the silver out of it, and then, okay, we got this much silver out here. This is good. I can remember when silver was like $4 and something an ounce, and I didn't didn't really think much of anything of it back in those days, you know. But gotta tell you, I sure wish I did, and I wish that I had just bought it and kept buying it, and you know, not even think about it. Just stick it on the side, stick it on the side, stick it on the side. That's how you end up with a lot. You just buy some here, buy some there. You know, even right now, if it is 70, 80, 90, $100 an ounce to buy a round or a 1 ounce bar, buy it. Buy one here, buy one there, and just keep putting them back. And don't sell them. Don't sell them. Don't say, well, this is my hard up fund. No, don't say that. Just forget about it. Just pretend it doesn't even exist. Just keep putting it back. And when it does happen, and it will, when everything goes to zero, you will be a wealthy person because you will have put that back. Okay? Unless you just put like one silver round back a month. You know, that's just a little bit too, you know. If you could put as little as 4 silver rounds, sock away 4 silver rounds per month, 4 ounces of silver per month, you know, you will be better for it. Especially if you live in something like an apartment where you don't have any property taxes or any stuff like that, you know. You'll be better off for it. When it comes to property taxes, that's when the guns are going to come out, because people are not going to give up their property because the local county says, you ought to be property tax. No. I don't know you jack. You know. No. I bought it, mine. You want to try to take it? Shh. You know. That's the way people have to be. That's the way people got to be. And you need to start socking back silver. No, I don't know of anybody that can sock back any gold at this point. But silver, sock it back. And keep socking it back. Forget about it. Don't worry if the price goes up and down a bit. It's gonna. Just keep buying it. People stock up ammunition. Stock up silver. You know, I got, you know, I have a relative that probably has 10 or 20,000 rounds of ammunition per firearm. That's right. Not near me, by the way. I convinced them to move near me. Tried to convince them a few times, but they wouldn't do it. And I can't blame them, you know. I mean, got so many communist laws in New England. I mean, it's a problem. It's becoming a problem in many places. Too much commie stuff. You know, Massachusetts over there, Massachusetts, that idiot Healy, who's the governor, such a stupid woman, with the butch haircut, and she's like saying, oh, well, you're only going to be able to drive so many miles with your car, blah, blah, blah. You know, trying to infringe on people's right to travel. You know, I think that's the 14th Amendment or 19th Amendment. I can't remember. One of those up in the teens, you know. One of those amendments, you know. She thinks she could infringe upon people's rights to travel. You know, traveling is not a privilege, it's a right. You know, you can't stop me from traveling. You know, and it doesn't matter if I'm traveling by horse and buggy or I'm traveling by a motor car. Okay? You can't infringe upon my right to travel. You know, I talk about this stuff all the time. You know, and I get very frustrated. I'm starting to see stuff like I see stuff in England, and then I'm starting to see a lot of variations or similar type nonsense going on in the United States. Okay? That stuff has got to stop. Don't you people understand that you got to learn to do what you need to do. Your freedom isn't free. You gotta fight for it. That means put up your dukes and get on it. You know, at the very least. I saw this video yesterday. I don't know why this guy's videos keep coming up, but he's some guy over in Britain, and I think he's gone to other places. But he walks around with a camera, and you got all these stinking, scumbags who have come from other countries, Somalia and whatnot, that have come into the country, and then they're like, you can't film me, you can't film me, and then they basically attack the guy, and he runs. He runs away like a coward. You know what? Stop doing that, man. And if anybody's watching me who knows him or who watches him, you can tell him I said so. Quit running away like a coward. Somebody comes up and they antagonize you, beat the living crap out of them, and make an example of them. And if the cops come and they try to arrest you for defending yourself, beat the crap out of them too. It has to come to a point where you have to stand up as a person for your rights as a person. By the way, it's your country. It's your country, and any police officer that comes against you for standing up in your own country, they're wrong. They should be protecting you as their countrymen, right? And there shouldn't be anybody that's a police officer that upholds Islam or who is buddies with any of these people that come from other countries. Oh, we're looking for asylum, quote unquote asylum seekers. They're not asylum seekers, they're invaders. Anybody that upholds them over their own countrymen, they should be stripped of their badge, stripped of their job, and told to pound sand and go get a job driving a bus or something. Okay? That's right. I'm not even kidding. Go play train conductor. You don't deserve that badge. You don't deserve to be a cop to uphold, and protect your countrymen in your country. You don't, no. And then they've got all of that stuff where they have been debating facial recognition. Cameras everywhere over there in England. I guess that's in the courts right now because they're fighting against that in the courts. And people do not deserve to be treated like just a piece, like a piece of meat, like a cattle, right? Like cattle. They don't deserve to be treated like that. We are human beings, and we don't need to be running around for our safety under facial recognition cameras and all that nonsense. We don't need that. You know what? I don't need you to protect me. The scumbags need protection from me. If somebody messes with me, I handle it. I have always handled it. I don't care if I get to be 100 years old. I'm going to handle my own stuff. And I will do that one way or another. You get to a certain age, it kind of hurts to knock the crap out of people with your fists, with knuckles. So I started with the open hand, You just go from, you make do. You make do. So, people are going to get the crap knocked out of them. Mess with me, you're going to get the crap knocked out of you. It's just the way it is, And I'm pretty fast, too. I'm not slow. I'm not slow. I used to be super fast when I was young, but I'm not slow right now. You know, and the thing is that if you're savvy and you got proper timing and stuff, you can look like a superstar without any effort. You time everything just right. You know, you have timing, you have skills. You know, all these young guys, they do not have what it takes. A lot of them, they don't want to learn what it takes. You know, there are some, but not everybody. Yeah, this video's gone on a while. So yeah, we'll get back to, in this next video, we will talk more about, uh, we'll talk more about the weather and about, you know, clothing. Okay. So I will see you in the next video. I'm gonna put out 2 videos today. Yeah, I'll put two videos out today. Supposed to have wind chill of 35 below, I think. This 35 below over the weekend here. So that'll be fun times. See you later.